All right, let's talk about building muscle. If you've ever tried, you know it feels like you're drowning in just an avalanche of weird advice, right? All these supplements, these crazy rituals. We're going to cut through all that junk today. We're going to boil it all down to the one simple, powerful rule that actually gets the job done. I know, saying building muscle is easy probably sounds insane to you, but just hang with me for a second here. The actual principle behind getting stronger, it's shockingly simple. The really, truly difficult part, well, that's something else entirely. So, if it's so simple, why does it feel so complicated? Yeah, that's because we're all just stumbling around, totally lost in what I call the gym culture maze. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This whole bizarre version of fitness, these unwritten rules. You gotta chug supplements that taste like battery acid. Your diet has to be plain chicken and broccoli just forever. Oh, and you have to scream like you're summoning a demon every time you lift a heavy circle. It's all presented like this secret, complex code you're supposed to magically understand. And then, of course, you get stuff like this, the totally arbitrary gatekeeping. This idea that, I don't know, you have to hit these weird, completely unrelated benchmarks just to be taken seriously. It's complete nonsense. It's all designed to make you feel like you're missing some secret key, some special knowledge. And you're not. Okay, enough complaining about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. Time to forget the maze, forget all that gatekeeping. Let's get to the one simple rule that truly actually matters. So what is it? What's the one thing that really works? If you just strip away all the nonsense, the marketing, the fancy powders, the 1,000-page workout plans, what's left? What's the actual engine that drives muscle growth? The answer has a fancy name, progressive overload. That's the scientific term, but the idea behind it is it's just so simple and beautiful. Your body is an adaptation machine. It adapts to the challenges you give it. So, to get stronger, all you have to do is consistently give it a slightly bigger challenge. That's literally it. No, really, that's it. That's the whole secret. It's not some magic powder, it's not a secret workout from a guru, and it is definitely not about how loud you can grunt. It's just this one simple, unshakable principle. Okay, so how do you actually do this? How do you put it into practice? Well, you don't need a crazy spreadsheet or a degree in biomechanics, I promise. Let's just break down how ridiculously simple this is. So the cycle is super simple. Step 1, lift a heavy thing. Step 2, put it down and let your body recover. Step 3, the next time you come back, just lift a slightly heavier thing. Or do one more rep. That's it. That is progressive overload in a nutshell. Right, but what about food? You can't just lift heavy stuff and live on air, can you? This is the other half of the equation that people have made insanely complicated, so let's simplify that too. You've definitely heard this one. The classic, oh, I'm bulking, as an excuse to just eat, well, an entire box of anything. But look, your body doesn't build muscle out of sugary cereal. Your muscles are literally made of protein. So when you break them down, you need protein to repair and rebuild them stronger. It really is that simple. Just fuel the machine for the job you want it to do. Okay, so we've covered it. The physical part of getting stronger, simple. The nutrition part, also simple. So what's the hard part? I mean, if it's so easy, why isn't everyone doing it? And this is where we get to the real core of the issue. Because lifting the actual weight, that's just physics. Your body is literally designed to adapt to get stronger. That, believe it or not, is the easy part. The real challenge, the real work, is somewhere else completely. And here it is, the main takeaway. The real challenge isn't getting stronger. It's ignoring all the noise. It's blocking out the thousands of voices trying to sell you something, telling you it's way more complicated than it is. It's about tuning out the secrets and the shortcuts. The hardest part, the absolute hardest part of getting stronger, is just having the discipline to stick with that one simple principle and ignore everything and everyone else. So the real question for you is, can you do that? Can you focus on the one thing that actually matters?
Okay, let's talk about quitting sugar. But I promise, this is going to be different. We're skipping all the usual stuff. No willpower lectures, no expensive detoxes. Instead, we're going to dive into how your own laziness might just be the most powerful secret weapon you've got. Let's get into it. So I want to start with this one line, pulled straight from our source material. Quitting sugar is easy, actually.
I know, you're probably thinking that sounds completely nuts, right? But just stick with me here because the logic behind this is surprisingly solid.
So why does a statement like quitting is easy feel so totally backwards? Well, it's because for years we've all been sold the exact same story, the sugar quitting myth. You know, the idea that giving up sugar has to be this epic, miserable battle against your own body.
And this really gets to the heart of the confusion. On one side, you've got doctors and scientists telling us, hey, this stuff is highly addictive, you're going to need superhuman willpower. And on the other side, you have wellness influencers selling a completely different story, that with their magic product, it's a quick, easy fix. It's like, who are we supposed to believe?
Let's start by pulling back the curtain on those so-called solutions from the wellness world, because honestly, this is where the whole myth really starts to fall apart. You've seen this a million times, right? $50. For what? For a special juice, a detox tea, some magic powder that promises it's going to crush your cravings and totally reset your system?
And here is the punchline. More often than not, that $50 solution is just really, really expensive sugar water. You know, fancy fruit juices, agave nectars, it's all just more sugar. The industry is literally selling you the problem and calling it the cure. It's kind of wild.
So if all those products are a dead end and relying on willpower is just exhausting, what else is there? This is where we pivot to the core idea of this whole explainer, a simple, surprisingly powerful weapon that every single one of us already has.
Welcome to the lazy path. The whole principle is ridiculously simple. The best way to beat temptation is to make it a pain in the neck to get to. It's all about reframing something we're taught is a negative trait, laziness, and turning it into your greatest strategic advantage.
And this, right here, is the absolute key. Your natural, built-in desire to not get up and go out of your way is actually a much stronger force than a random, sudden craving for a chocolate bar. See, this isn't about fighting your cravings head-on. It's about outsmarting them by being strategically lazy. And this is the entire strategy. Seriously, step 1, when you're at the grocery store, just don't put the junk food in your cart. Step 2, well, that's it. There is no step 2. The battle isn't fought in your kitchen at 11 o'clock at night when you're feeling weak. It's won quietly and effortlessly in aisle 5 when you just walk right past the cookies.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does the lazy path actually look like in the real world? Let's break down how this works in practice. The real beauty of the lazy path is that it lets you completely bypass that dangerous internal negotiation that always ends in failure. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It always starts with those little phrases. Just one won't hurt. Or, I'll be good tomorrow, I promise. Or, my personal favorite, you know what? Maybe I'll just start bulking. If the temptation isn't physically in your house, that whole self-sabotaging conversation never even gets started.
Here's the perfect example. Instead of buying a whole case of soda and then forcing yourself to fight a dozen tiny battles of willpower every single time you open the fridge, you just don't buy it. The lazy swap? Drink water. Or, as our source so perfectly puts it, liquid ice. Suddenly, the easiest, most convenient option is also the healthy one. Absolutely no willpower required.
So let's end with this thought. We spend so much time and energy trying to fix our weaknesses, but what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if, just by redesigning our environment a little bit, our greatest perceived weakness, our own laziness, is actually the most effective tool for change we have? You know, it feels like the world is constantly trying to sell us happiness. And it's always this super complex, super expensive product. But today, we're going to look at a simple, ancient, and, well, radically effective way to find joy that doesn't cost a single dime. And this is the pitch, right? This is the message we get all the time. That real peace, real tranquility is just one more purchase away. You're told you're not doing enough. You're not buying the right things. You're not optimizing your life enough to actually be happy. So what this has done is create this whole happiness industry. It's turned a basic human feeling into something you have to buy. And it's created this exhausting and, let's be honest, really expensive quest for something that should just be ours.
And let's break down the real cost here. Because yeah, the financial price tag is high, we see that. But look at the hidden costs. You're not just giving them your money, you're handing over your own critical thinking. You're cluttering up your mind with a million little tasks, and you're spending your precious time and sanity on these complicated solutions.
All of this just creates this nagging little voice in your head, right? This constant self-doubt. You start wondering, am I meditating correctly? Is my aura working right now? Am I even breathing right? Suddenly, just living becomes this performance that you're constantly failing at.
So after all of that, all the complexity, all the cost, all the overthinking, what if I told you that finding a moment of peace, a little bit of joy, is actually easy?
Yeah, the answer isn't some fancy new biohack or breakthrough app. It's actually an ancient, time-tested approach that needs no guru, no subscription, and definitely no credit card. It's really just about getting back to basics.
So we're calling it the touch grass method. And yeah, the name is a little bit of a joke, but honestly, it perfectly captures the spirit of this ridiculously simple 3-step guide to just clearing your head and finding a little peace.
All right, step 1. It is almost laughably simple. Just go outside. Get up from wherever you are, walk out your door, and just be in the world for a second. No goal, no destination in mind, just the act of going outside. Okay, you're outside. Now for step 2, which in our busy world is maybe the most radical thing you can do. Do nothing. Find a bench, a patch of grass, whatever, and just sit. Don't check your phone. Don't put on a podcast. Just be still.
And this brings us to step 3. And honestly, this is the whole shebang. As you're just sitting there, doing nothing, you let your mind do its thing, and you start to see all your worries and problems from a slightly different angle. This is where the real change happens. It's a mental shift. This is where you gain perspective.
Okay, so why on earth does something so simple actually work? It sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it's not magic. The power behind this whole thing is rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. It's all about focusing only on what you can actually control, like your own perspective, and learning to let go of the rest.
I want you to think about something. You know that one super awkward thing you said at a party back in like 2013? The one that still pops into your head and makes you physically cringe? Yeah. The number of other people from that party who remember it is 0. Absolutely 0. No one else cares. And that right there perfectly shows what we're talking about. The things that feel like huge catastrophes inside our own heads are often completely invisible to everyone else, and you can't control what they think anyway. And that is what we mean by perspective. It's that huge aha moment when you realize the thing that's eating you alive, the thing that feels like a personal disaster, is almost always just a tiny, insignificant blip in the grand scheme of things. Look, you could get really complicated with this. You could try to hack your dopamine or whatever the latest trend is, but this is so much simpler. It's not about manipulating your brain or optimizing your inputs. It's just about letting go of the stuff that doesn't really matter. So this ancient, super effective path to just feeling okay for a minute, it's completely free. It's accessible to every single one of us right now, which leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? Why are we all still trying so hard to buy it?